For more insight into the Abbas speech and the significance of what it all means, I'm joined by Khalil Jahshan. He's the executive director of the Arab Center here in Washington, D.C. Khalil, welcome.
Thank you.
So let's begin with what Mahmoud Abbas had to say. He said the Palestinian Authority no longer bound by the Oslo Accord that formed the basis, of course, of the two-state solution. What does this mean exactly, and what are the implications here?
Frankly, it's a symbolic step that he had to take in light of what the misery that the Palestinians have been experiencing under continued protracted Israeli occupation, with no light at the end of the tunnel. He felt compelled to do that. He could have been a lot harsher, actually. He could have declared these agreements null and void, but he basically said that in light of the fact that Israel has not been fulfilling their share in terms of abiding by these agreements, the Palestinian people, although they remain committed to negotiations and peace, they find it no longer feasible to also abide by that. Now, practically speaking, again, if indeed the interpretation is the agreements are null and void and all aspects of the agreement are not abided by, just like the Israelis have done, then that will be basically the formal end, the funeral of the Oslo process.
What about the end for Palestinian Authority? Because wasn't that formed based on the Oslo Accord?
Yes, but the Palestinian Authority, as you well know, is a hybrid between PA and PLO, and they can easily shift gears in terms of their identity and resume their role as the PLO. As a matter of fact, most Palestinians feel that the PA was a mistake to start with, and that the PLO institutions should not have been dismantled prematurely.
And the fact that Abu Mazen, Mahmoud Abbas, didn't issue a specific deadline, Khalil, does that mean there's still room for diplomacy with Israel?
Frankly, you can never close the doors for diplomacy, but the fact of the matter, as he explained in his speech, Abu Mazen was very frank, that basically he has no partner on the Israeli side. And as your report itself indicated from Jerusalem, the current prime minister and the current government of Israel will not allow a Palestinian state to emerge according to this agreement between the Palestinian side and the Israeli side that has been in existence for more than 20 years. Israel refuses to allow a Palestinian state. This is basically the bottom line of the problem we're facing today.
And if you talk to the Israelis, they might say another problem is the fact that Gaza is controlled by Hamas. There's no sense of unity among the Palestinian leadership. How much do you think Hamas has been a problem in this equation, sir?
I don't think Hamas has been a problem in this case. It's willing to deal. Hamas basically has its condition. It wants to replace Abu Mazen. It wants to replace the PA. It wants Israel to deal with it. Besides, Israel can't, have its cake and eat it too. Who put Hamas in place in Gaza? And let's not forget that the premature withdrawal of Israel from Gaza without coordination with the PA is the main factor that Hamas is in authority in Gaza.
And do you think the fact that there's been so little attention given to the peace process, it seems very little effort in the international community to bring Israel and the Palestinians together, do you think it's because the world is simply preoccupied with bigger problems, with ISIL, with the refugee crisis?
Well, there are two aspects to this question that you raise. It's an important question. First of all, I think Israel is not willing to pay the price. Israel kind of would like to have peace, but again, on its own terms. And to create a Palestinian state next door is no longer feasible for most Israelis. But aside from that, the second aspect is the fact that the world agenda today is so full of all kinds of conflicts and issues to the point where the two, if you will, the main superpower and the junior superpower, in this case, the US and Russia, didn't even mention the Palestine question. When you look back at the history of this deliberation at the UN, Palestine was always on the top of the agenda of previous sessions.
All right. Thank you so much, Khalil Jahshan, for your time and perspective,
My
sir.
pleasure. Thank you.